Good morning, traders. Richard here doing a quick Ichimoku cloud chart market review of the Xetra Dax Index. I've got the 4-hour Ichimoku up, and now in the last update, the DAX was struggling with this resistance. And the question was there, is this rebound rally going to continue when it breaks past this bottom end cloud chart resistance, or is it going to reverse lower and retest this front end cloud chart for support, or the bottom end of the cloud here? But fortunately, we did manage to get a breakout past that, so this rebound rally continued. Then the price action has ended up above the cloud, so that was bullish, briefly bullish, because we pulled back to retest the support zone. You can see these lows here, the length of the candlesticks gave us some comfort that maybe this rally is going to continue. There's lots of support between this top end cloud chart support zone and these old highs and lows here. So stuck it out with the trade, broke through, gapped up above the cloud, and then the rally continued. Now we have a breakaway gap, and now there's quite a high risk that this breakaway gap will close at some point, because now the DAX is moving into resistance zone between this old cloud chart support zone, which is a new resistance zone of 15,428, and the top end of the old cloud chart shadow 15,523. So that's the kind of resistance zone it's moving into now. So it's moving into a kind of a profit taking zone from this rebound swing trade from the standard line of the cloud here. The downside risk is obviously to close this gap there and then retest maybe these lows here at a consolidation stage. These old cloud chart support levels should come back into play. But by that time, expect the turning line of the cloud to start stabilizing. And by that time, we'll have the standard line of the cloud coming through, and maybe the standard line of the cloud will stabilize around this 15,183 and 15,522, but we need a couple of more days for that to take place. But so far, moving into profit-taking zone from this swing trade perspective, but the good news is we're back above the 4-hour cloud, so that's bullish. But be aware of this cluster of resistance to the upside on the 4-hour Ichimoku. Now let's take a look at the daily. In the last update on the daily, we were fighting for support here at the standard line of the cloud. And that is coincidentally, that standing line there, the purple line there, and the front end of the cloud was a major support zone. So that swing trade from that rebound swing trade there also worked out well. Managed to break through 15,370, the front end of the cloud, and 15,428. Is the next resistance zone it broke through, and now it is digging into a cluster of resistance between 15,428, 15,462, and 15,523. Now, it's closed that gap, well, very close to closing that gap, for example, but now we've got this gap. So there's a high probability that we're moving into profit-taking zone, into resistance zone, and then a snapback to close that gap, and maybe come back to retest this cluster of support here between 15,212 and 15,183. But back above the top in the cloud on the daily, so that's good news. Only risk factors, yeah, we're moving back into old resistance zones and old price highs. And it will be interesting to see if we get a continuation of this move. But consolidation risks remain high now, and we do expect that gap to close. But keep a lookout for any kind of profit taking or weakness within this kind of cluster of resistance on the daily Ichimoku. Let's take a look at the hourly. Now, at the hourly, yeah, we're a little bit extended from the top end of the cloud, so there is quite a high risk of consolidation back to the front end of the cloud here, 15,341 on the hourly, to close that gap at least, and then look for support here between the turning line and the standard line of the cloud. So that's the downside cluster of support. Any kind of further weakness at these levels will dip back to the 15,000 and this bottom end cloud and top end cloud chart support zone. So that's the major support zone on the hourly, and we do expect some form of consolidation back down to close the gap and retest these old standard line and turning line cloud levels on the hourly. But so far so good on the 4-hour. The swing trades worked out well. The rebound swing trade from this cluster of support here at the standard line and broke through the cloud, rebounded from the front end cloud support zone, and now it's gapped up into this resistance zone. So now there's quite a high probability there might be some profit taking coming in and around these levels as we look at between 15,523 and 15,428. Downside risk is to close that gap and retest this front end cloud chart support level 15,297, as well as 5,212 and 5,183, these support levels. So we could see the DAX come back, dip back and the sellers come back into the market to push it a little bit down to consolidate this move. So 50% retracement will be back down to the 15,100, 15,200 zone. Until next time, happy cloud chart trading. Bye for now.